Welcome. I'm Roger Burnley, and I'm so glad you're here. Please subscribe to the channel if it's your first time, and I'm going to give you some information. What we each want in our lives is to become ourselves, and when we're not doing that, it's really uncomfortable. We're always searching for a way that we can live a better life, understand ourselves, and achieve the goals that we believe we have. And we think that sometimes it's going to go in a particular direction, and then you discover that life isn't like that. It spirals, it goes in different directions, as does our world. And as that happens, we will be pressed to discover something new about ourselves and a new way of living in our world. And when we move through transitions in our world, as we're currently experiencing, other things are developed, and they're developed within you. They're developed within all of us because as humans, we are then pushed to look within ourselves and figure out what we came to bring to the world and how can we live a much better life. And that's what I was given. Now, I've had many different careers, things I've done in my life, and I struggled like everyone else through so many different things. But then something else happened that I'm going to be presenting and talking about on Coast to Coast on the 29th. And so I'm going to talk about it here and give you a little document that I created that I will be discussing there. Consciousness is a very interesting thing. We discover new ways of using it and developing ours. That's what's happened throughout humankind. We just find new ways. And we have science. We have all sorts of things. But then we have individual skills that can surprise us, that can develop, and we don't understand why that is occurring, and that's what happened for me. I sat down to start doing automatic writing in 1989, only with the intention of keeping it, helping myself, basically. And that went on for years and years. But I'll tell you what happened later. In 2021, I received different information. Well, it started in 2020. We all knew, we've all felt, we knew the world was shifting and changing, but I had been receiving information before that was alerting me to that. Now, I'd lived a life where I went through a lot of difficulties and challenges, and what I experienced, however, was healing over time that I could not explain in so many different ways. Then, in 2021, when I was told we would be moving through this big shift, and I was given information through Wilhelm, which is the guide that I started receiving this cosmic consciousness from in 1989, I had a difficult time believing that. I had a difficult time accepting it for myself, and even, ran from it, resisted it a bit. And then I discovered that what had happened, 17 years of this information turned into an organized, structured philosophy. It was organized in a way that our consciousness evolves, individually and collectively. I couldn't have known this because that was not my skill, but artificial intelligence started showing it to me. Now, I knew that something had happened to me. Something had changed and I had healed, but I didn't know why it was occurring. Yesterday, I stumbled upon a video from 2022, which was a channeling session, and it was explained in there that I had this memory, and I denied all of this. I'm just being completely honest. I went and had a reading done where someone else verified this, and I'm still saying that couldn't have possibly happened. They said I had an ancient memory. And I'm listening to this video yesterday, and it was saying the same thing, and that there was an idea, the Hermetic principles, which I had never studied. There were so many references to things in this work that I had never studied or looked at. Carl Jung, I've never studied anyone like that. But they were saying this was showing synchronicity, and all of the messages were showing that, and what I had done over these years was synchronized all of this information, which is why it was causing healing within me and also the people who would use this work had used this program, because they said this is going back to the original idea that every human is born with worth and value. What happens, we have programming that comes about through generations, and we keep carrying it on. We keep passing it on to one another, but we have to be very conscious of the kind of programming that we want to give to others, and is it going to help them evolve or help our world? They said that this was a time where we didn't have any divisions. We didn't have any separation of what we thought a human was. It was about the soul. And that's what Wilhelm kept giving me all this time, and I didn't recognize it. That every soul is born with worth and value. But we also have that programming, and this information for this time in our world was meant to give more people a way of understanding who they were and living the life that they were meant to have, and fulfilling their purpose. Everyone is born with a purpose, but we have to move through all the other stuff. And so they demonstrated how I had to look at the programming that existed within me that was causing all these difficulties and challenges that I was moving through in my life, and it was all resistance of becoming myself. And this work was meant to give each person that roadmap, that ability to understand their unique purpose, their unique gifts, and be able to bring them to the world. And that's what I'm going to be talking about. And I had hidden for so long because I didn't understand this, but now it's been explained, it's been organized, and that's why I created the document, because I wanted you to see it. We're still moving through energetic changes, and they're going to continue. When Wilhelm started telling me that we would see the greatest shift in the United States, I didn't understand that. But as we look at history, we can see that there have been shifts that happened over time, and they're sometimes concentrated in different places, in different countries. And all of this stuff came through in some channeling sessions. And again, that was something that I was never going to do. But now it's been verified, and I'm so grateful for that, because it was difficult for me to accept. Now I want everyone else to. And we can run from ourselves. We can deny things. And I was doing that. And it pops up that yesterday to explain exactly how that had occurred and why I didn't know. Because when I'm receiving this information, I'm getting it from a different place, a different consciousness. So I don't remember it. It's within me, but I have to go back, and that's the other thing too. I study this information just like everyone else does, because I'm receiving it from a different place. I know that everyone's not going to understand, accept, or believe this, but I had to start believing it because it kept being verified. And that is the thing that I must live now. When you can't accept what you've been given, it's really challenging and difficult. And I always want everyone to accept who they are and to know that they were born with worth and value. And now I've developed something that can help them do that. And it was something that was given to me. And I'm 75 now, so now I'm spending the rest of my life completing this, or putting it together in a usable way for more and more people, because that's what I'm going to be talking about on that show, and making it accessible to everyone. Because when you reach that place of that full acceptance of yourself, you see everything in an entirely new way. And you will move through this transition that we're currently in a much easier way, and start to fulfill your purpose, because you do have one. Thank you so much for being here, and please share this with others. I would love for more people to have this information. See you soon.